1. Why I stopped eating late at night. When I was younger, I could polish off a bowl of noodles or a thick sandwich at 9 or 10 p.m. and sleep like a baby. Back then, my stomach was strong, my heart didn't complain, and my sleep was deep and undisturbed. But around my late 60s, something changed. I began waking up in the middle of the night with this uncomfortable burning in my chest. At first, I thought it was anxiety. Then came the racing heartbeat, the restlessness, and the constant tossing and turning. There were nights I'd stare at the ceiling for hours, unable to drift off again. I brushed it off as just age, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. One night after a particularly heavy dinner of fried chicken and mashed potatoes, I woke up choking. Not coughing, choking. It was terrifying. My doctor later told me that my body wasn't digesting the way it used to, that when I eat too late, especially heavy, greasy meals, my stomach keeps working long after I should be resting. That acid rises, heart rate stays up, and sleep becomes a battleground instead of a refuge. And here's something I didn't know until then. Nighttime heart attacks are more common in older adults who eat late, especially those with high blood pressure or diabetes. I had no idea I was risking more than just a bad night's sleep. I was rolling the dice with my heart. Now, I make it a rule to finish dinner by 6:30 p.m. or 7 at the latest. If I get hungry later, I might nibble on a few almonds or sip some warm chamomile tea. Nothing heavy, nothing greasy, just enough to satisfy without stressing my system. And let me tell you, the difference is night and day. I fall asleep easier, I sleep deeper, and I wake up feeling like my body actually rested. It's not about giving up the foods you love. It's about timing. It's about listening to your body when it starts whispering before it has to shout. 3. Why I don't rely on sleeping pills anymore. There was a time I thought sleep could come in a bottle. It started innocently enough. A few restless nights, a bit of tossing and turning, and then someone, maybe a friend, maybe even a doctor, suggested, why not try a sleeping pill? Just for a little while. And so I did. That first night, magical. I drifted off like a child. No worry, no wandering thoughts, just silence. I woke up thinking I had finally found the answer. The second night was the same. The third, too. But by the end of the week, something felt off. I wasn't waking up refreshed. I was groggy. My thoughts were slow. I forgot things. Small things at first, like where I put my glasses or whether I took my morning pills. Then it got bigger. I started feeling disconnected, like I was watching my life happen from far away. But still, I kept taking the pills. Because without them, the fear of lying awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, replaying every mistake I've ever made, was worse. What I didn't realize was that those pills weren't giving me natural sleep. They were just knocking me out. My body wasn't going through the healing cycles. I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't really resting. And slowly I started depending on them, mentally and physically. I feared nights without them. That's when I knew I was no longer using them. I was relying on them. And that reliance had a cost. So I made a decision. Not an easy one. I worked with my doctor to taper off. I started creating small rituals before bed, dim lights, soft music, a warm foot soak. I tried breathing exercises, herbal teas, even lavender oil. And no, it didn't fix everything overnight. I had hard nights. I cried sometimes. I doubted myself. But then something beautiful began to happen. My body remembered how to sleep on its own. Not always perfectly, but more naturally. I began waking up without the fog. My thoughts came back. My balance improved. I felt alive again. The truth is, our bodies are wise. They want to rest. But sometimes we just have to create the space for them to do it gently, without force, without chemicals, without fear. 4. The quiet worries no one sees. It's funny how we can go through an entire day smiling, chatting, even laughing at something silly on the TV, and yet, the moment the lights go out, the silence arrives, and with it, all the thoughts we've been pushing away. I don't think people really understand how heavy 3 a.m. can feel. It's not just about waking up, it's what you wake up to. Some nights, it's the aching loneliness. Even with family around, even with people who love me, there's a kind of quiet that settles in the bones, a feeling that time is passing too quickly, that maybe I didn't say everything I needed to say, that maybe I've been forgotten a little. Other nights, it's regret. Not big ones, just those small, unfinished conversations. The I'm sorry I never said, The moments I rushed, the days I didn't pause to breathe in the beauty of life when it was right in front of me. And sometimes, the worry about my health, about forgetting names, about whether my body is quietly changing in ways I can't see. I used to worry about my children. Now I worry if they'll be okay after I'm gone. And that's a different kind of ache. These thoughts, they don't shout, they whisper. They sit quietly in the dark beside me, like old ghosts who know me too well. I don't talk about them much. Most of us don't. Maybe we're taught to be strong. Or maybe we're just tired of hearing people say, "Don't worry so much," as if it were that simple. But I've learned this. Acknowledging them, not pushing them away, has helped me sleep better. Naming the fear takes away some of its power. Sometimes I write them down. Sometimes I talk to a friend. Sometimes I just breathe deeply and say to myself, "It's okay to feel this. You've lived a long life. You've earned these feelings." And then I remind myself of all I do have: my morning coffee, the birds outside, the warmth of the sun on my skin. These things, small as they seem, have a way of pulling me back. Maybe that's what healing looks like at this age, not eliminating the worry, but learning how to carry it with softness. 5. What I do differently now for a truly healing sleep. I used to think that sleep was something the body just did. You get tired, you lay down, you sleep. But I've learned, especially in these later years, that sleep is more than rest. It's an invitation, an agreement between your mind, your heart, and your body to let go, even if just for a few hours. And these days, I approach it with a kind of reverence. First, I stopped fighting it. Those early morning wake-ups between 3 and 5 a.m., I no longer scold myself for them. I get up slowly. I sit by the window with a blanket and listen to the world sleeping. There's a deep kind of peace in that, and sometimes it's in those moments that I hear my own heart the clearest. I've changed what I let into my evenings. No more loud news, no overstimulating shows. I light a candle. I play soft music, sometimes the sound of rain or a distant flute. I read poems instead of headlines. I write down a few thoughts in a notebook, not because I want to remember, but because I want to release. I started taking care of my body differently too. I warm my feet before bed. I massage a little lavender oil into my hands. I stretch, nothing fancy, just gentle movements that remind me I'm still here, I'm still living. One of the biggest shifts? I began treating sleep not as an escape, but as a return to myself, to stillness, to all the parts of me that get buried during the day. And when I do wake in the middle of the night, because yes, it still happens, I no longer see it as a problem. I see it as a check-in. I ask myself gently, what are you needing, love? Sometimes it's a glass of water. Sometimes it's a memory. Sometimes it's just a few deep breaths. Then I place my hand over my chest, feel the quiet rhythm beneath it, and whisper, "It's okay. We're safe. We can rest again." And slowly, I drift back, not always into sleep, but always into peace. That I've found is enough.